corporate governance space, and that's where I'm at. I'm about, either being on boards or about advising boards, and I also have a security hat, but security is not my calling card.
Yeah.
I've morphed away from that space because I don't want to be the security guy.
Targeted and that, and it is like you say, box hold into that, and it's very small because there's only, some of the bigger organisations you've got, it's dead man's shoes basically. You go, oh, where am I going to go now? I'll have to go somewhere else.
Well, for Tony Ferguson to go anywhere else, he needs Peter Townsend to leave the organisation.
Yeah.
And Tony's waiting for that to happen.
Yeah.
And Pete's just turned 61. Looks 45.
Yeah.
He may go. He may go in 2 or 5 years. Don't know. But Tony Ferguson hasn't got a next level up opportunity in that organisation unless Peter leaves.
Yeah.
KBR came to me about 10 years ago to take on a position with them for the region. So basically, Asia Pacific.
Yeah.
And so when I spoke to them, and they shortlisted me to for the role actually. One of my questions when I spoke to them was, so in terms of the geographic footprint this role has, what's the what are the other elements to the department? Well, no, you're it. So because when they started asking me about remuneration, I said, well, look, being realistic about remuneration, this has got to be a $270,000-$300,000 position every day of the year. The reasons for that are there's no opportunity for advancement because there's only one global guy. There's 6 regional guys and there's one global guy, and that guy's an American. He's former DOD, and he lives in Houston where you're headquartered. So I'm not an American guy. I'm not an American citizen. I was never in the US Defence Force, so I don't live in Houston.
Yeah.
I got a staff of 0, but I've got an enormous work requirement and a lot of responsibility that goes with that. But so, it's pretty much a success rate, death or attrition scenario environment. In the end, they took a guy that was, happy to have a conversation around less money, and lo and behold, he only lasted 12 months. But, that's the way those sort of things go. For me, there's just so much more to life. I don't want to just be doing the security stuff, and I think where I'm at and the other things I bring to the table, the other values I add to, the suite of things I assist companies with, I can also talk security and safety and risk and all of those things, and they come nicely with governance and a range of other things, but I've sort of morphing myself away from the CSO banner per se. And there are a lot of really sharp, cool young guys out there in their 40s who are thrusters who do be snapping up those roles as well. Who, and I was a referee for one into a position who's been successful. He's an ex-former unit member of mine actually, but he's 10 or 12 years younger than me. He's embarked on this in the education process, done a lot of safety roles, and he's now taken on safety security as a dual-hatted role. And I say to him, mate, don't ever suffer from imposter syndrome when you're in the room with everybody else. Develop the skill to say, I'll have an answer for you in half an hour.
Yeah.
Give me 30 minutes notice. I'll have the answer. Because there's actually a couple of other pieces to this that need to be considered into the overall solution. When you get out of that room, mate, you fucking ring me.
Yeah.
If I haven't got the answer, I'll ring 5 guys I know, because in our suite of networks, professionals, we'll have the info. Someone will have a template on their hard drive or whatever else. So, mate, this ain't rocket science and it's been done before. But if you don't have... If it's about cyber and cyber's not your thing, we'll get the cyber guys on the phone. If it's about, IT security or hardware for cameras or whatever the case may be, we'll get the info. But don't die in a ditch right now. You don't need to say what quality locks need to be on the box.
Yeah.
We'll get that information.
We're a collective. It's no single person. There's not that man. If you say you know everything, you're 400 years old minimum. We're a collective, and like you say,
I share so much information. I sanitise the arse out of it, but within a tight circle of friends, we're all sharing information. And I think that when you get back to the network, I think that's the one really valuable thing. Having been in this game for 25 years in the private sector and stuff, I'm in touch with the guys at the top of the field. They're a phone call away, and and likewise, so am I. And I'll often get a phone call. Oh, mate, look, I haven't done anything in maritime for a few years. What can you tell me about MSP compliance in this space? Or what about, the application of cyber into a security risk management plan for, a medicinal cannabis facility that's looking to raise some funding? Those sorts of things, which are, sort of almost horizon, sunrise parts of the game now, because medicinal cannabis farms are coming up. Cyber's, you couldn't do a security risk assessment today and not include a section on cyber.
That's right.
Like if I read a report tomorrow, there was a security risk assessment for any organisation that didn't have the section on cyber, I'd say, but did you get fucking Bugs Bunny to write that for you?
Yeah. So that leads on to another question, which is like, what are your feelings on the converged model of the CSO? So, I mean, UK, there's a lot more people. The CSIO will be the CSO. So you'll have the dual hats of both the cyber and the physical side of things. The US is pushing big on it as well. Australia, not so much at the moment. Have you any thoughts and feelings?
It'll happen. It's already happening.
Yeah.
And it's just, Australia will follow the Brits and the United Kingdom, so the Yanks and the United Kingdom anyway. The litmus test I would apply for you, well, not the litmus test, but the key indicator would be if we could go back 10 years in time.
Oh yeah.
And have two computer terminals running side by side, one that was plugged into the internet in 2021 and one that's plugged into the internet in 2011. And we went on to Seek and we typed up the word security manager, Australia, and hit enter. There would be, let's say there were 1,000 results in Australia for 11 and 1,000 results in Australia for 21. In 2011, there would be almost nothing about IT or any of that stuff. When you look now, 95% of them are I-based, right? And, that's just the way of the world. Young guys that are looking to get into the game, are asking me today, what should I do? I said, look, so far as I'm concerned, I think there are two pathways you want to consider. One is information and security intelligence through an academic institution. So I know Murdoch have a pretty good program. There are a couple of others around Australia that do that. But, with a cyber flavour, that's one of the ways. The other pathway, get into defence communications and communications intelligence, and then apply those skills, civilianise those skills when you get out. But one or the other is the future. Because at the end of the day, and I just wrote a market analysis for a security company here who are making some decisions on whether to go on the acquisition path or whether to sell their business. Because they want to know what the future holds.
Yeah.
And so the board is saying to me, is the day of the security guard, the fiscal guard, is it limited? We know it is limited, but how limited is it? I've said to them, look, there will not be a change in the physical guard requirement in major industry in Australia in the rest of our lifetime. We're only talking 20 years. But ignorance of emerging technology is asking for suicide. Because if you're not considering robotic guard capabilities, UAV, cybersecurity, technological security solutions that free up the need for a person or all of these sorts of things, then you're kidding yourself. But it's a question of how those things fit, and balancing the market appetite for those technologies and the cost of them versus the human touch at any given time. And I don't run my own electronic security business or my own cyber business, but I know guys who do. So when I need that solution, I go to them.
Yeah.
Because you need to be in that full time, you need to be fully immersed to be staying up with the current trend.
That's right.
It's a bit like whatever antivirus software you run on your computer, it's the people full time 24/7 working on that shit to make sure you've got the current patch for the latest virus strains, right? So, the market's definitely evolving. Security is still a bit of a dirty word. I think technology is the less dirty word in the industry and the market, because people are adopting and accepting technology, and certainly the younger crew coming through have all, were born with a laptop on their knees or a smartphone in their hand.
That's right.
And are more tech savvy and more tech tech ready than say old dinosaurs like us. So.
Yeah.